Testing my audio right here as we're about to go live immediately after the buzzer. Just wanted to test my audio. Someone in the chat could go ahead and let me know if you could hear my audio right now, so we'll get going right at the buzzer. Let me know, please. How you doing, everybody? I'm Ken Bykoff, and welcome to the Peegs podcast, the Peegs podcast post game. Let's try that all again. How you doing, everybody? I'm Ken Bykoff, and welcome to the Peegs post game live. Indiana, 89-61 losers to Louisville in a game that the Hoosiers just absolutely were terrible. They just got the hell beat out of them in every single way. It is a game in which. I'll tell you right now, there's going to be a lot of real pissed off fans about this one because the Hoosiers just didn't bother to show up in the Bahamas in any way, shape, or form. 812-393-2600 is your number. We'll be talking some IU football too in a little bit as Indiana takes on Purdue to battle for the Old Oaken Bucket game and a spot in the college football playoff. So we have that starting up, but uh, I'm like you guys. That game was just as sloppy as a dog eating a plate of spaghetti. That was absolute terrible basketball almost from the opening tip off. Indiana shoots 33% on the day, just 7 of 20 from 3 point range. And you felt like Louisville was just there to shoot threes. Everything was going up. Consider this. Indiana loses by what is that score? I was a journalism major, not a math guy. So that's 28 points, 28-point loss. Louisville goes 10 of 27 from 3 point range. Louisville only hit three more threes than the Hoosiers did. Indiana shot 10 more free throws than Louisville did. But when you turn the ball over 15 times, I'm sorry, turn the ball over 23 times, you're not going to win a ball game. And the Hoosiers absolutely played like a team with no chemistry whatsoever, a team that absolutely is just not on the same page in any way, shape, or form. And the worst part of this is that there were no changes during the game to try to fix things along the way. The coaching staff just kind of stopped and watched. They went into this thing expecting that 2 pointers would beat 3 pointers, which Louisville is known for shooting threes. Indiana was looking to feed the ball inside. And Malik Renew had 21 points on 7 of 12 shooting, which is perfectly fine. You had Omar Ballo had 11 points on 5 of 8 shooting. Uh, they were the only guys to score in double figures. The only plan for getting them the ball was kind of throwing it over the top and being able um, to feed the posts that way. There was no movement to try to find angles for posts. There was not a lot of movement to try to find shots that the Hoosiers could put up, and they had no answer when they started just playing so incredibly sloppy. And this is what happens when you throw money at a roster and go about things as if it was just the players last year that were the problem. It wasn't just the players last year that was the problem. It was the system. It was the way that they went about it. But Mike Woodson hasn't changed much with that. He has gone ahead and come back at the same exact system. And yeah, it's real nice that you're able to knock off Southern Illinois, Edwardsville, or South Carolina. Louisville is unranked. Indiana's number 14 team in the nation. They didn't deserve it, and they played like they didn't deserve it today. This is on reputation and on talent and not on how guys are playing. Kanan Carlisle starts the game, plays 14 minutes, scoreless, 0 of 2 shooting. Miles Rice plays 25 minutes, 3 points on 1 of 11 shooting. You had Renew with 21 points on 7 of 12 shooting. He had 7 rebounds and 4 assists, but 3 turnovers, a block, had a couple of steals. He also was minus 32 on the day, and he's a kid that has played a lot of basketball over the past couple of years, and he needs to grow up because the way he conducts himself on the court, he whines over every call that he doesn't get or that he thinks he should get. He's putting his finger in guys' face. This is supposed to be a veteran on your team, one of the people who brings everybody together and turns those five fingers into a fist. He isn't doing it himself. So it's great that he had 21 points, but what Malik does has to go a lot farther than that. Again, Kanan Carlisle was held scoreless. Mackenzie Mbako, 8 points on 2 of 7 shooting in 29 minutes. He was minus 33 during his time. So you have Malik Renew and Mackenzie Mbako, the two starters who were on the team last year. They're number 1 and 2 on the team in plus minus. Mackenzie Mbako at minus 33. You had Malik Renew at minus 32. And for those who don't know, that is the point differential when you're on the floor. So while Mackenzie Mbako was on the floor, Louisville outscored Indiana by 33 points. This was a disaster, an absolute disaster in every single way for the Hoosiers. They were sloppy. They they allowed themselves to lose their poise. Louisville sped them up and absolutely took care of them. Louisville was far more energetic. They were getting the loose balls. They wanted it more. And all of this happens despite the fact Louisville didn't shoot a free throw in the first half. Now, Louisville shot on the entire game, they shot 7 free throws. A lot of that is because they were shooting threes. 27 of their 65 shots were from three. But when you have a Louisville team that is up 37-29 at halftime after shooting 56.9%, what kind of defensive adjustments were made to try to change the way Louisville was going about things? Whatever it was, it absolutely didn't work because Louisville outscores Indiana 52 to 32 in the second half and shoots 66.7% in the second half alone, 22 of 33. And you can't say it was three-pointers. That wasn't it because of the fact that Louisville went 3 of 10 in the second half from three. This is a team that has no leadership on the floor. The Hoosiers just folded down the break, and they had no chemistry. And I don't want to hear about how this is a bunch of new guys coming together because Louisville had the same thing, and they just kicked your ass. So this is really frustrating. Zero effort to get guys shots. Um, just a really incredibly frustrating day for the Hoosiers. We got our first caller. Looking forward to this. And caller, if you could tell me your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hey, Ken, this is Sam from Bloomington. Long time listener, first time caller. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you just fine, Sam. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, that was a bunch of hot garbage. Uh,
That's a very polite
second of
way to
all,
say that.
uh, it seems like all of a sudden Indiana University is willing to pony up some money for athletics. Seems like there's a guy from a little bit up north named Brad Stevens who might have a position open pretty soon. Uh, yeah, I just can't tell you how disappointed. If we can turn IU football around, why can we not turn IU basketball around? Holy smoke. Born and raised in Bloomington, I'm starting to wonder if maybe Bob Knight ruined me for college basketball because, man, it was frustrating.
Yeah, and you mentioned football, and that's one thing that I've been thinking of basically since the middle of October is the success that's going on over at Memorial Stadium. To me, turns up the pressure on what's going on at Assembly Hall because Curt Cignetti has shown there are two very different things, and it's apples and oranges, and I understand that, but absolutely, if you're an IU fan, you're saying they're putting all this money into this basketball program in terms of NIL. Where are the results? And it sounds like you feel the same way.
Well, and like you say, with the NIL on paper, man, do we have some talent out there. But yeah, like you pointed to, we've got no leadership, and I mean not just on the court, but sitting on the bench too. And I'll bet that great big pad that Coach Woody sits on is starting to get hotter and hotter.
Well, and I certainly don't think that Indiana would do anything during the season with that. I think that we're looking at a season where this one is embarrassing. There's no question about that. And hopefully, we're going to be able to get the audio from Woody at some point during this show. But it to me, it's where do you even have your answers? And that's the struggle here because it isn't it Indiana has been successful. They've won their first 4 games, but didn't exactly have the best opponents, and there were flaws in every one of those games. And to me, that is really frustrating and a concern for the season going forward.
Agreed. I have not seen anything from those first 4 wins that made me feel very confident. And going into today, I mean, it's a rivalry game as far as I'm concerned. That's a border war, and man, we just didn't show.
Nope, not at all. That's what happens when you have guys that you bring in. And again, I know that that's the college basketball world now, but there has to be some chemistry, and certainly that is not something that has developed to this point. Did you have any final thoughts for me, Sam?
Yeah, can't wait for Saturday. Let's go take it out on the boiler.
Well, stick around the show because we'll be talking football in a little bit. Really appreciate the call, Sam. 812-393-2600 is your number. Again, Indiana, 89-61 losers. Um, he brings up Brad Stevens and, even the idea of a different coach. Um, I don't know. I know that that's something that they took a good run at when they were looking for Woody, and Stevens turned them down. And certainly every basketball program, college basketball program, looking for some kind of fix is going to be looking that direction. Um, but that is a bridge that is a long way from anybody crossing. I'll tell you right now, that's a long way from anybody being there because the Hoosiers have a lot of season left. Hell, they got a game tomorrow that they're going to have to try to rebound from this one. Um, just not a lot to be excited for with this ball game at all. And again, my frustration is that more talent was brought in. And there's unquestionably better talent on this roster than there was last year. But if you're playing the same way that you did last year, and you thought that just bringing in some guys, throwing money at them was going to make a difference, it was a grave mistake because of the fact that Indiana simply does not play in a way that is going to be successful over the long haul. You might put together a good game. You might put together a couple of good games, but when you're not shooting threes, you're not making threes, you're really struggling. Uh, to me, that is Mike Woodson saying, I wasn't the problem last year. And certainly, at the end of last year, he talked about how he's done everything that he set out to do in getting Indiana to where it was. This is where your frustration really comes in because here you are, you have a game that you're in the Bahamas, you have an opportunity to make a statement with a game, and then you just don't show up, and it gets worse as the game goes on. Which the danger in this comes in the players starting to tune out Woody. And then once that happens, you run into a situation where everybody's on the floor just trying to do their own thing, and it'll snowball real quick. Now, it's one game, but we've also seen flashes of this kind of play, pretty regularly. You look at Omar Ballo, he scores early and often, and then disappeared. And the question is why? Indiana's turning the ball over, playing real sloppy. The Hoosiers just really struggled in terms of taking care of the ball. Miles Rice, 3 turnovers. Malik Renew, 3 turnovers. Kanan Carlisle, 4 turnovers. Omar Ballo, 4 turnovers. Mackenzie Mbako, 1 turnover. And then you didn't really get a whole bunch off the bench either. You had Luke Goody with 7 points on 2 of 6 shooting, 1 of 5 from 3 point range. He gets teed up late, has 3 turnovers in just 17 minutes. He played a terrible game. Bryson Tucker, 4 points on 2 of 9 shooting. He added 4 rebounds and a couple of turnovers. Anthony Leo came in some garbage time and got 5 points. Langdon Hatton, 2 points. Then you have Trey Galloway, plays 20 points, gets 2 shots up, 1 rebound, no assists, had a couple of turnovers. He was minus 22 on his day. Um, it's really frustrating. It's frustrating to watch because this is an IU team that shouldn't be this bad, but here we all are. And again, it is one game, and any team could have one bad game. But I'll tell you what, this is an IU team that looked very ugly today, and that absolutely nobody is going to be pleased with anything that happened out there. And this is a real early time in the season for everybody to have to look in the mirror and figure out what kind of year we're going to have, what we're going to do, because Thanksgiving, kids, and it has you put together some more outings like this, and people are just sick and damn tired of watching this kind of basketball. It's that simple. They are sick and damn tired of watching this happen over and over and over again. And it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating. On the chat, you have Brian S. Same shit, different day. Pathetic, horrid dumpster fire. It's impossible to be this bad without really trying. Larry Blackwell, Woodson has to go. Brian, I'm over watching IU get blown out because the coach is terrible. And again, my frustration is that nothing was changing. You didn't see when Indiana was playing frantic, when they got sped up by Louisville, nobody took the time to kind of calm them down, make it clear If we aren't playing the way I want to, they have to you have to come out of the ball game. And I don't care if you have Anthony Leal and the five bench guys out on the floor. If the starters are not going to play the way that you want them to play, they have no business on the floor. It's that simple. And yet the same guys go out there. Doesn't seem to be much of any kind of accountability there, and that's something that it builds up after a while, to say the least. 812-393-2600 is the number. Again, we'll be talking IU football and the bucket and everything like that. That is coming up because that's exciting. That's something that's fun. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But first, we got another caller. Caller, if I could have your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Kevin.
Hey, Kevin, how are you doing?
Well, good. And two things. One, I'm super excited about the job that Pam Whitten and Dawson did with the football situation. I just think the football program is just going to go for leaps and bounds. Just got through watching whatever you want to call this thing. But I'm going to tell you what, we just got trashed on ESPN in their post-game show. We got trashed. I mean, they just call this an embarrassment to college basketball. That's bad. Number one. Number two, you go on all the sites, and besides Peegs, don't be surprised if Sicily's not there next year because there's stuff out today that he may ask for a release. The third thing is this. Did you hear, watching the game, the lead announcer say that Indiana has some pride, has to have some pride somewhere? I mean, I'm lost. I don't know what Dolson's going to do, but first thing he's got to do is got to tell Quinn Buckner to shut his mouth and get out of the way. Quinn Buckner was behind keeping. That's pretty well known. We're not relevant at all in college basketball, at all, across the board. And that's a shame that this program has fallen so far off the face of the earth that we're not even I wouldn't call it the top level Division II program anymore. I mean, after what I saw today, and that team quit today. That you could see it. They quit. There could be mass exodus before the year's over with. Well, I don't know what they do, but and if you go on the boards looking for the tickets, people are giving their tickets away. They're giving them away. They want nothing to do with this anymore. So I don't know what your thoughts. I'm going to shut up and listen to you. But this is an embarrassment on the national level that I don't. Even when Tom Crean came in and it was bad, at least they worked hard. At least they got after it.
But before you get off that notion of they quit down the way, I think that is it. I couldn't agree with you more because you looked at just how they went about the business. Louisville was after every loose ball with far more energy than what
Yep.
IU had. And when you are going down the stretch and you're getting beat real bad, you do at some point have to have some pride. And I completely, that's what they were talking about on ESPN. I couldn't
Right.
agree more
Yeah.
with that too, because at some point you have to say this has to stop right now,
Well,
and
here's
it is
something else.
it
Here's
is up to
something
the
else.
veterans. Yeah.
Here's something else. It was posted on X Twitter. Guess who was gambling all night long in a casino? Trey Galloway. Trey Galloway. They got a picture. And people sitting there saying, "Yeah, he was there late into the night gambling." What does that tell you? I mean, seriously, if you're the head coach, you're telling the guys, "We got bed checks. We got a game tomorrow at noon. I don't want to see one of you in a casino anywhere." Period. Didn't happen. And Trey Galloway's a nice kid, but let's be perfectly honest. Trey Galloway, and Leo are they don't belong there anymore. Trey Galloway's a turnover machine this year. Sorry to say that, but it's a true thing. I think he leads us in turnovers per minute played. Can't score. CJ Cups has never been able to do anything since he's been there. Cups has never been able to do anything since he's been there. And you saw it again today. You put anybody that's 5'11" on top, he can't do anything. That's a bad recruit on Woodson's part. Nice kid. But he may not even be a good MAC level player. So I don't know what's going to happen here, and I agree with you that this whole thing today was. I mean, they quit. Did you see the huddle one time when Luke Goody was all over him, and I think it was Matembe and Baca was firing back at him, and Woodson was just standing back there doing nothing. So I don't know what they're going to do, but I don't see them winning the game in this thing at all. Uh, and I think we're going to be a bottom third team in the Big Ten this year. I really do. The question Dolphins going to have is, does he just go ahead? Here's the check. Go to Cuban and say, "You're done, Mike. We got to do it. We got to do it now." I hate to say that. We could have got Dusty May. Nope, we stayed with Woodson. This guy, I like the way this guy from Louisville coach. He's a hard, intense coach. You know, give me a Cignetti. I think Cignetti by halftime would have told his starter, "Stay in the locker room. You're done for the day. I'm not going to put up with this crap." But Woodson didn't do anything. He didn't even play the walk-ons hardly at all in the second half. There's just a lot of stuff on different boards out there. There may be some mass defections by January. What would happen then? I mean, I'm not spreading rumors. I'm just saying they're out there. People are saying this.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, Galloway thing shows up. He's at the casino last night gambling. That's embarrassing. That is embarrassing. What does that tell you, Ken? These
Well,
kids don't care.
well, I haven't seen.
That's wrong.
I hadn't seen that with Galloway, so I have no thoughts on that. And I believe that
Right.
I believe that you saw it, but I have no thoughts on that.
Well,
But
it's on the Peegs board um, on the forum.
okay.
So anyway, so that's my thoughts. I'll shut up now. I apologize.
Hey, no, don't apologize. You know what? Look. I did the football call-in show for years and years, and sometimes we were therapy, and I feel
Right.
like that's kind of where we
Well,
are right now with this basketball program.
well,
We're in
there's
therapy
no
mode,
sex.
so sometimes people got to vent.
There's no sex. No sex coming from this end for NIL basketball.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that you're gonna watch the back off that happens there. People have had it. I mean, when you look at your board today, oh my goodness gracious.
Yep.
But then to listen to ESPN posting. First of all, to be called out during a game about no pride, holy mackerel. That may be the most embarrassing thing I think has ever been said about Indiana basketball. In all honesty, I mean, put the candy stripes on and play. You know what I mean? And Quinn Buckner, if he's smart, he will not go to a basketball because I think he's going to get ripped when he goes to games. Because he's responsible with this too. He really is. But anyway, here's Joe. I'm off.
I appreciate it, Kevin. Thank you so much for the call. 812-393-2600. Again, Brian on the chat says Cups wasn't a Woodson recruit. He was an Archie Miller recruit. And I mean, that's picking the fly specks out of the pepper there because you know what? Cups is a guy that was always supposed to be off the bench. And that's where he is. Not everybody works out. 812-393-2600 is the number. We got another caller that we'll go to as well. Caller, if you give me your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hey, Ken, it's Jordan Wells.
Hi, Jordan. How you doing? I know Jordan Wells. Used to sit next to him at basketball games.
We did. I guess I'm doing okay. I'm calling you I'm calling into your show just to vent.
Sure.
First of all, let me get two things out of the way. One, Brad Stevens has a great job. Let's just get that out there. And you have to take a grain of salt with these Bahamas games with college games. Having said both of those things, Indiana's program is so much better than this. I spent 3 years there, and I have a lot of great memories there. And I don't watch it as much anymore because I'm not in the media industry anymore. I tuned in today because I work and live in Louisville, and it was that bad that I have to call in and vent about this.
Sure.
It's just so disappointing. It's not just me. A lot of casual people turned in today, the day before Thanksgiving, to watch some hoops. This could be a great matchup, and it was just really embarrassing. So I don't know. I don't have a lot for you. I wish I had some better analysis, but I've been out of the game for a few years.
Well, but the thing is that this is a team that has been kind of cobbled together. You had the NIL money was put on them. You got transfers. You have guys from elsewhere. That is the college basketball world. Louisville did the same thing, but there's chemistry with Louisville. There's an energy that we saw with Louisville that doesn't exist with this IU basketball team. And I thought it was interesting, Jordan, during the telecast they talked about the energy at Louisville's practice and how involved you had Louisville head coach. And Mike Woodson is a different kind of coach. He's not that energy guy. Jump into it. He played in the post, so Indiana plays through the post, and he thinks that's the best way to win. But you have that kind of adjustment when your team starts falling behind. You can't keep dumping it inside. And so all of
Yeah.
that kind of really stood in stark contrast because you have two programs that are at very different spots, but the one that has gone through a hell of a lot more transition lately than Indiana was the one that was just far more energetic.
I mean, it's hard to tell you how negative the energy was around Louisville basketball the last couple of years with Kenny Payne.
Yeah.
And again, I live there now. I don't work in media anymore. And so to see that and then say, okay, like we got this 4-0 Indiana team, let's see what we got. And again, there is a grain of salt with these Bahamas games. Like, let's say you can throw everything out, and that is where there's a gray area here. There's a grain of salt where you're in the Bahamas with college kids. They're not professionals. But there should be at least like a gray area, and that's not what we saw today. Like you said, Louisville was way more bought in. They were way more energetic. Indiana made no adjustments when clearly what they were doing wasn't working, and it was just really just a disappointing performance to see. As somebody that casually follows college sports now because I don't work in it anymore, Indiana basketball is better than that, and I hated to see that today. It's like it was that bad of a performance. That, and again, I hate to say that when you have a performance like that, it's so bad that I'm like, I can't watch this anymore. I have to turn it off. It's very difficult to come back from. Um, so I hope the best, but I don't know if there's coming back from this either.
Well, there's an interesting stat from the Indianapolis Stars, Matt Glennisk, that IU's last four losses on neutral courts under Mike Woodson: a 28-point loss to Louisville, a 27-point loss to Nebraska in the Big Ten tournament, a 28-point loss to Auburn, and a 20-point loss to UConn. Uh, once you get outside of Assembly Hall, the Hoosiers struggle, and it doesn't make a difference if it's last year or this year. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't bode well for just where this program is going.
Yeah. Oh, and somehow Assembly Hall is still one of the most underrated home court atmospheres.
Yeah.
They're so freaking good at home. I miss those games. I really do. Wish I could still be there with you.
Well,
But yeah,
it's a struggle. It's a struggle to say the least because we've seen a lot of bad basketball over the last several years, and I know IU was ranked 14th in the nation going into this thing. Um, it's
and they
based
should
on
be unranked. I
it,
mean,
it's
that,
based on paper because we haven't seen it on the court.
yeah, no, that, again, and I hate it. I want them to be so good.
Yeah.
I still follow them from afar. I had 3 great years there. I love my so I still root for them. Again, I live in Louisville, and I'm not rooting for Louisville today. I was rooting for IU, and that was just so bad that I had to turn it off. And again, I do think that if you go back and your time, you've worked in this industry for a long time. You go back, how many times the game's so bad you had to actually turn it off? Like you can't even watch. That is, it's tough to come back from. So I don't know. We'll see. But just let's not jump to Brad Stevens right away.
Yeah.
He's got a very good job.
Well, I appreciate it so much, Jordan.
Yeah.
Appreciate the call. Best of luck to you,
All
buddy.
right.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Ken. Yeah.
At least I get paid to watch these games. That's kind of nice. And some of you continue to watch for reasons I can't imagine because this was difficult to watch today. 89-61 loss. 812-393-2600 is the number. We got another caller in the queue. Caller, give me your name, where you're from, and what you got.
From Evansville, Indiana. My name is Doug. I'm a graduate, IU graduate in 1969. And I can remember a game in Iowa. I don't remember what year it was, but we were getting beat so bad that Bob Knight, early in the second half, pulled the entire starting squad off the floor and set them on the bench, and let the bench go out there and hustle. Nothing makes this lack of hustle like pine time, you know.
Absolutely, and that was something that I thought there's a couple ways that later in the game, Indiana had its starters out on the floor, and there's a couple ways that Mike Woodson could look at that as one is you guys started this, so you got to wear it while you're out there. The other one is let's put people out there that want to play. And what we saw was in no way, shape, or form a group of guys who wanted to play. And you mentioned Bob Knight and sitting the starters. That's one thing here at Indiana. Longtime fans remember those kind of things and the impact they would have on a team. And that to me is something that is a struggle for the Hoosiers to say the least.
Well, it's not like we don't have talent this year, and I was so aggravated. I was yelling at my wife, and she had to leave the room. But we were a step and a half behind those guys all day long, and nobody was talking to anybody about what was going on out there. And where were the timeouts to slow down the momentum? I just there's just so much I don't understand about what I saw. It's hard to discuss it.
Well, and just to get everybody on the same page, when you're getting just thumped the way they have been, to me, I just didn't understand how you can't just keep trotting the same guys out there because you're going to have the same. You keep doing what you did, you're going to keep getting what you got, and that's where Mike Woodson kind of is with this thing.
Yeah, and I don't know when we're going to quit missing open shots. We had a whole lot of open shots we didn't make today, and for the life of me, I don't understand. You're not going to make them all, but this team is way more talented than uh, than the performance that we saw today with all the misses.
Yeah, you would certainly hope so, and again, just really
I think it's
frustrating.
style of play. It's style of play. They're not running when you're playing a team that's beating you up and down the court, and you try to slow it down, and they're twice as quick as you are. They're going to keep picking your pocket, and that's what they did all day today.
Well, and you can't just concentrate on pick and rolls. You can't just concentrate at the NBA level. That is what you do, but it's not.
Yeah,
This isn't the NBA level, and I think that adjustment has not been great for Mike Woodson in moving from the NBA to here, and that's why the Hoosiers kind of run into some problems along the way with that.
yeah. Well, hey, thanks for your show. I really enjoy it. That's all I got today.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the call. 812-393-2600 is the number. Waiting, I'm hoping that we'll be able to get Mike Woodson and some of his press conference thoughts uh, going here in just a little bit. I know that these things take time with that, so I'm very much so hoping to get that. But this also I wanted to talk to everybody as we wait a little bit, just about IU football too, because the Hoosier football team is going to be taking on the Purdue Boilermakers in a game that we are leaps and bounds from where it was last time the Hoosiers tried to battle for the Old Oaken Bucket, and the excitement that is surrounding the program as they drop from number 5 to number 10 in the college football poll, and they drop from number 5 to number 10 in the rankings. Um, to me, it's the Hoosier football program uh, is suffering a little bit in a way that other programs don't because it says Indiana on their chest. Notre Dame comes to mind right away. That Notre Dame has that reputation, so Notre Dame can go ahead and struggle or lose early in the season to a Northern Illinois team, and obviously they deserve it more than Indiana does. Um, you have just several teams. I'm frustrated with that you lose a game in which you were not favored. Basically, you played okay most of the game. You had two big special teams breakdown, and everybody uses that as an excuse because I think that a lot of the top 25 voters don't necessarily watch Indiana. They look at the results, and they've been waiting patiently to try to see how things were going to fall apart for the Hoosiers, and they got their opportunity. But at least they're still in the college football playoff um, picture, and they have Purdue coming up, and we'll be getting to Curt Cignetti's weekly press conference here in just a little bit. But I wanted to stick with basketball for a little bit longer. 812-393-2600 is your number. Please give me a call because I want to hear what you have to say. And there's no, like I said, there's no holds barred here. And if you need to go ahead and vent, I'm your guy. I'm your guy. I'm here to help. Don't take it out on your family. Give me a call. Um, there's some people on the Peegs message board right now that was like, nope, why would you do this to yourself? Might want to cancel this. I don't think, and somebody says, guys, I don't think this is going to help our Ken Palm rating. Hey, we're here for you to vent. Bring it on. 812-393-2600 is the number. There's always talk about leadership and what kind of leadership that it has. And I know that Mike Woodson has always, you know, taken it on himself as being the guy who can. It's my job to get over the hump with somebody. It's my job to help these guys find their way. Uh, at some point, players have to step up too. And your biggest issue, as far as I'm concerned, is there isn't a player on this roster who can be that guy. In the past, it's been Trace Jackson Davis. Usually it could be one of your guards. But when you bring in so many new faces, your leaders have to be able to show up and they have to develop. Well, a guy like Miles Rice or Canyon Carlisle or Omar Ballo, uh, their transfers, they just got here. There's nobody that among that group that's going to step up. Craig Galloway has played a lot of basketball here and can be that guy. So can Malik Renew, but Galloway's been hurt. He's been inconsistent on the floor, uh, which leaves you Malik Renew. And Renew, again, is that he seems a little bit immature on the floor. He makes mistakes. He complains to officials. He still does, and has some sloppy fouls. During a free throw, he's pointing his finger in a Louisville player's face instead of talking to officials. Yeah, Louisville is having a huddle right around him. There's a way to handle that doesn't put yourself at a risk of a technical. And who is the guy on this roster who's going to say, this is not going to happen? This stops now. None of the new guys could do it. They've been here for 5 games. So it has to be a guy like Galloway. It has to be a guy like Renew who steps up and steps into that role, and it's not there. And I mention this all the time. You have Kelvin Sampson once had the quote that I thought was so absolutely amazing of you don't play February basketball in November. And absolutely that is the case. But at some point, somebody has to step up. And Mike has been saying now for 2 years, I got to get these guys over the hump. I got to get these guys over the hump. I got to get the. Then do it. Do it. It's time. It's beyond time. You have to, if you are the guy who says, I am the guy that is going to get them over the hump, you damn well better do it. And to this point, the Hoosiers haven't done it. They're playing the same style they have. I was concerned after the previous game where Indiana got up early. It should have been a big lead at halftime. Mike Woodson stepped in and changed some lineups, and the momentum all went away. And the Hoosiers ended up winning the game by, I think, 11. In a game that you needed to win big and really step on a team's neck, and then you could play with lineups. But that's not what happened. And so now you have this Indiana team that is 89-61 losers on national television in a day a lot of people have it off of work. So they could tune in live and they could watch it, and then you turn in that kind of performance. You get absolutely ripped by the announcers. You get excoriated in the post game. Uh, that's ugly. That's real ugly. And it's tough to bounce back from that, to say the least. 812-393-2600. The lines are open. Uh, just a real frustrating day. And especially, again, because Louisville sped Indiana up, and the Hoosiers had no answer for that. They allowed themselves to be sped up, to go fast. And you end up with 23 turnovers, 12 assists on 21 made baskets, 23 turnovers. And it wasn't like, well, we just had a bad string and, that they built up because we got sloppy there for a little bit. Indiana had 11 turnovers in the first half, 12 in the second half, 23. They were sloppy the entire ball game. Every starter was sloppy as can be. Nobody dealt with Louisville's energy. And these early games are really important because they set a blueprint on how you beat a team the rest of the year. And we are where we're at with that. I mean, the Hoosiers have shown everybody how they can be beat. Play energetic, get in their faces. And that's something we're going to see. And now it's up to Indiana to make that adjustment. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do that at this point, because you need an overall look in the face, but they got to play tomorrow. There's a quick turnaround now. You can't just go ahead and go back and lick your wounds and figure it out. It made me scratch my head after the last game where Mike Woodson said that they have to really take an opportunity, go back and look at and work on the last game before they move on to this one. And I thought that that was a real weird answer. You fix what you have to, what the mistakes that you had. Yeah, you look at it, but you have to move forward and you have to have a plan in the post game of what are we going to do to fix this problem. Because you can go out there and you could play UNC Greensboro, but if you're playing UNC Greensboro and you get beat by 11 and you just can't seem to put them away, um, you should know before the final buzzer where things have gone wrong. And Mike Woodson talked about being selfish and they didn't play solid together basketball. Well, then make them play solid together basketball. And that's just not something that Mike Woodson has shown a willingness to have some accountability when it comes to that kind of thing. And that to me is really frustrating. A bunch of people on our chat is saying Woodson must go, he must go, and I just don't see that as something that's going to happen during the season. This is a game in which rather a season. Indiana's just not going to make that change along the way, but I understand why people are so incredibly frustrated because the path forward doesn't look great. It's one game, but it is a continuation of patterns that we have seen along the way for a while now. And there's every reason to be concerned that that is where things are going to continue. 812-393-2600 is the number. We definitely want to be able to hear from you and be able um, to to just hear your thoughts because I know everybody is very very frustrated with where this program is and what everybody what we're seeing. So while I wait some more for the press conference from Mike Woodson, I wanted to talk about IU football and the fact that the Hoosiers are taking on Purdue in the Old Oaken Bucket. What am I looking for in this game? Uh, Indiana to dominate in every way, shape, and form. Purdue has not been good this year. The Old Oaken Bucket, it's obviously a rivalry game. It's something that a lot of the season gets poured into for many years. Uh, when we get to this point in the year, there isn't much to play for. That isn't the case here. Now, look, Purdue is terrible, and by all metrics, everything we've seen this year, Indiana should absolutely wipe the field with Purdue. This isn't a matter of, well, this is Purdue's bowl game or anything like that. No, they've been terrible. They're probably close to having a coaching change. And Indiana has been among the stories of college football this year. But that doesn't mean you don't have to come back and reestablish what you've already had from that setback last week. I'm not overly disappointed in what I saw against Ohio State last week. That Ohio State program is just a hell of a lot better than Indiana, has more talent, everything that goes along with it. But when it comes to Purdue, you better come ready to play. You better come ready to go ahead and bounce back from what we saw last week and be ready to get back on track. I want to see that same intensity I saw against Nebraska when you won 56-7, or Washington when you beat the hell out of them when you scored 40 points. All of those things have to come together because it is really important for the Hoosiers to be able to just build some momentum going into the postseason, wherever it may take them. You can't lose the game. Can't afford to lose the game. People are dying for a reason why. Can't even play a close game, to be honest with you, because I feel like voters are dying to get you out of the college football playoff um, picture anyway. And so you got to come ready to play and give yourself an opportunity to win a national championship, which is, think about where we were a year ago. The idea that Indiana would ever have an opportunity to win a national championship in 2024 uh, was ridiculous. You'd have thought I started drinking early on for Thanksgiving. But here we are. And it's not only the only thing Indiana could do is hurt itself against Purdue. The Hoosiers have to step on their neck early, have to take them out, and not for a second, waver on what they're doing because it's important to get back on track and get everybody moving along the way that they should. 812-393 2600 is the number. I'm going to go ahead now and drop in. I don't have the press conference yet from Mike Woodson, but we will get to it as soon as I get it. We will put it up. But in the meantime, I'm going to play you a press conference from Curt Cignetti and what he had to say during his weekly press conference in the team room at Memorial Stadium uh, from last Monday, uh, which was just a couple days ago. So here's Curt Cignetti from the podium.
All right, total focus on Purdue rivalry game. Obviously, big game, Saturday night, 7 o'clock. Thanksgiving weekend. Really need to get the students back, need to pack the stadium. It's got to be loud. It's got to be a winning edge for us. We've got to have a great week of preparation and, take care of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, put ourselves in the best position for Saturday. They're a capable team, and they're not having the kind of season they wanted to have, obviously. But they're also a team that scored 40 points in the second half against Illinois to come back from a 27-3 deficit and send the game to overtime. So at this level, everybody's capable. So we've got to play well and play very well. Last week, obviously not the outcome that we wanted. Thought we did some good things. I thought defensively, overall, other than the last drive, take away the last drive where we hold them under 300 yards, 17 points. Offense, good first drive, good last drive, but in between, not a whole lot there. And, we got to shore our pass protection up. We had some missed assignments, a couple physical errors. One time got beat one-on-one. But we got to take the hits off the quarterback because I don't know a quarterback in the country, if he gets hit over and over again, they all lose their effectiveness. So I thought we ran the ball fairly well. I mean, we averaged over 4.5 yards a carry, take a knee play at the end of the half, and ran the ball fairly well. Obviously, the punt team cost us 14 points. It's a 7-7 game with about 1:40 to go in the second quarter. We drop the snap, and they get the ball on the 7-yard line. And then we punt the ball, first series of the second half, and get a 79-yard punt return for a touchdown. Punt's supposed to be kicked to the right and ends up over on the left number, and all of our coverage is going right. Ball goes left, and we were in a bad spot. So looking forward to this game. Said what I had to say about the college football playoff after the game. The only thing I'm going to say today is we're sitting in a good spot. But we got to take care of business. And that's that. Questions?
Yeah, you mentioned the pass protection. When you kind of look at the last 6 quarters, kind of the second half against Michigan, any commonalities in the struggle? I mean, I know, noise, take the noise out of it, but anything else that you saw on tape that kind of reoccurring problems that you guys got to kind of fix?
Missed assignments and poor technique would be the themes. 5 sacks against Ohio State. We had 3 missed assignments. Routine stuff, communication stuff. We got beat physically one time. And poor technique on a weak side twist, which was similar to what Michigan had given us the week before. A little different, but similar. They had a little weak side linebacker end twist that we just didn't do a good job with. So we got to get back in sync offensively, and get our rhythm back, where we're playing with a lot of confidence, scoring points in bunches, and running the ball and throwing the ball with equal success.
Is part of that, you mentioned on Saturday kind of the increased athleticism and sort of Michigan and Ohio State. Is that part of why those things crop up, where maybe a guy forgets technique because you're facing a guy that's quicker or they're more speed?
Most of our problems Saturday were assignment errors, right? Like day one protection, certain lineman's supposed to go to the left and he doesn't. Or, there were 3 5-man pressures and 2 4-man pressures. One was a simulated pressure. All routine stuff. And we didn't do a good job of handling it. We protected really well the first series. We protected well the last series. But, in between, we had that 3rd and 1 play where we got called for the false start with us in 3rd and 6. Okay, they brought a blitz. We didn't block it right. Quarterback got hit. He got hit 4 of the next 5 passes, sacked. And then, so when he did have the opportunity to throw the football, he wasn't quite as effective with his reads or his accuracy. And, when you get rocked like that, not many guys are.
Curt, you talked about the hits on Curtis. Just at the wear and tear of the season at this point, they're going to take some hits by this point in the season. How do you manage that? And then also with his thumb, it's going to be cold on Saturday. How does he manage that part of it in terms of his
No, the thumb is really progressed well. That's not an issue. And we've got to do a better job of protecting the quarterback. and I'm confident that we will.
You mentioned all the special teams errors. I guess, how did you see James handle the aftermath of that, just reviewing the film from that? And I guess, how do you reassure him to make sure something like that doesn't shake him?
Well, it was a good snap. We kind of had our hands on the back half of the ball. And then the next punt was the one that was supposed to go right and went way to the left for the touchdown. So it wasn't a great day for that unit. It's got to be better.
Kind of a two-part question. Hear coaches talk all the time about how beneficial it is to play beyond the end of the regular season, bowl game, postseason, whatever, those extra practices. Kind of where do you fall on that as far as the benefits to younger players, and how do you and your staff approach those practices to maybe give them some of the attention and reps they don't get because you're prepping during the regular season?
Yeah, well, it depends on when you play and how much time and how many practices. But in terms of keeping the guys that are actually going to play fresh, I've always done a good job of managing that. And, any more getting the young guys some work is good, but, they're going to get plenty of work in spring ball.
Curt, the team's coming off of a loss for the first time this season. How do you expect them to react, and especially going into a rivalry game where a lot of the guys are not used to this being the rivalry game?
Yeah, but they all understand what a rivalry game is, and they know what's at stake. So I expect us to have a great week.
812-393-2600 is the number. Not quite the entire press conference from Curt Cignetti on Monday, but very interesting. He mentioned, there was a question mentioned about the weather, and the weather that the Hoosiers are dealing with. It's going to be a little bit colder at Memorial Stadium. It's a 7 o'clock kickoff for Indiana, and dealing with that weather is going to be really, really important. I really think it's very, very important maybe for Indiana to get out to a big lead by halftime and be able to bring in Taven Jackson and let him get some reps, let him go ahead and get some work in live game situations. You don't want to keep this thing close. You want the defense to be able to overwhelm the Boilermakers, a Boilermaker team that has been really, really not very good at all. And being able to do that is going to be just one of the keys to this game because the Hoosiers are bouncing back from that loss to Ohio State. They do have to do a better job of protecting Curtis Rourke. The last two teams in Michigan and Ohio State that they've faced have been able to get more penetration than we saw earlier in the year. But Michigan and Ohio State is just a quicker, they have more sheer talent and speed than a lot of teams. Being able to bring to keep Purdue off of Curtis Rourke is going to be really, really important in this one. So I expect the Hoosiers to win. I expect them to win the Old Oaken Bucket and be able to put the Boilermakers away uh, pretty early. And if this thing keeps going and keeps struggling, I think it's going to be unfortunate to say the least, because I truly believe that people are dying for a reason why the voters are dying for a reason why Indiana couldn't be in the college football playoffs. And if you struggle against Purdue, that's kind of where we're going to be. Last call for phone calls, 812-393-2600, or jump into the chat is perfectly fine. Some of the messages that we have on Twitter is Missy says, can we finally agree to move away from IU hires? I want to win. I'm sad. And I've never been a big fan of the idea that, well, he's an Indiana guy. And that's actually one of the issues I had with Mike Woodson being hired to begin with was that, yeah, he played at IU, but if he didn't play at IU, would he even be in this conversation? And he wouldn't be. And he wouldn't be. And so that's where some of this frustration comes as well, because uh, we had a caller earlier who talked about the game long ago that Bob Knight pulled his starters off, went with second unit, and did that kind of thing. Mike Woodson knows about that. And Mike Woodson wasn't willing to make any shakeups to that lineup in the second half in a way that I think maybe he could have to make a statement. Uh, Another guy, CC4IU, says this is completely unacceptable. How much are we paying these worthless ball hogs? Well, I think the players are doing what Mike Woodson tells them to do. It's just not necessarily as effective as it needs to be. People are saying fire him after the game. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. But you also have a lot of fans who have lost belief in Mike Woodson's ability to get this team over the hump, which is something he talks about all the time. And if you can't do that, then you're not going to be able to win ball games and instill belief in your team and in your fan base. All of this is starting to get to that point where this is as bad as it gets, where fans are openly hoping that the team loses just to be able to get Mike Woodson out of the way. And that's unfortunate. By the way, we're talking about an 89-61 loss. Indiana scored the last 7 points of the game in the final 30 seconds of the game. So we easily could be talking about a 35-point loss. At one point, it was 78-40. It was a 38-point game. And again, when you're at halftime, it was an 8-point game. It was manageable. And they completely imploded in the second half. And that is plenty of reason for frustration, to say the least. This guy, a guy in the chat says, put respect on Malik Renew's name. He had 21 points. That was fine. He was good. He knocked down a couple of threes. That was nice. 7 rebounds, 4 assists. He was among the only active guys, a guy who actually stuffed a line. I'll give him that. 21 points on 7 of 12 shooting, 5 of 6 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block, 2 steals, 33 minutes, did not commit a foul. He also had 3 turnovers, was minus 32 on the day, and, just needs to step up as a leader, show maturity on the floor. And there's part of it because the skills, he was effective in this. He's working in Mike Woodson's system. Malik Renew is actually one of the ones working. It's not happening for everybody, though, to say the least. But please give me a call. 812-393-2600 is the number. Part of what I'm trying to do here, I can see in our setup here that the press conference with Mike Woodson is uploading onto our YouTube channel, and it's slow. Look, the boys are in the Bahamas, and I don't know. Look, it is. I'm sure a good wireless thing at wireless hookup in Atlantis. Uh, it's a resort. It's a gorgeous resort. I actually was lucky enough to see the building from a distance. Went on a cruise to the Bahamas back in July, and gorgeous area, beautiful hotel. Um, and I'm just watching it upload. I'm hoping that I'll be able to get to it before I go off the air. Um, but if we don't, that's I don't even know if you guys want to hear what Mike Woodson has to say. Same guy that said put respect on Malik Renew says he definitely does need to turn it up a notch. That's fact. And again, I don't want to take too many shots at Malik. Not everybody is born to be a leader. Not everybody is going to be that guy. But he's been around and he's played a lot of basketball for the Hoosiers, and being able to step up into that leadership role generally falls on the older guys. Doesn't always work. I mean, you think back to when Yogi Ferrell was here, and he was an unquestioned, or I'm sorry, Jordan Hulls was here, and he's an unquestioned leader for the team. And Indiana did what they did, ended up losing to Syracuse, get knocked out in the Sweet 16. And then the next year, you had Yogi Ferrell and Will Sheehey should have been those leaders, and Sheehey just never got to that point as as a as a leader. He just didn't do it. And so it's not necessarily for everybody, but that's where we are. Thank you for jumping in on the chat. Really appreciate that. Again, everything that we had on Twitter was just all about it's no different this year than every other year. This is not ideal. Mike Woodson will get them over the hump with a couple of clown emojis. Somebody said there's a plan. That's Woody Ball. We're on repeat since Woodson took over. The key is, too, that with NIL, people are they got skin in the game now. They used to just cheer for people, but now they got skin in the game. They're putting their own hard-earned money into things, and uh, it's not producing results, and that gets dangerous too because people know that yeah, it's not ideal, to say the least, because too many more of these defeats, and people are just simply going to tune out. And people tuned out today, and here it is. A lot of people off of work get a chance to watch the game, relax with family, and that's just simply not something that they're going to enjoy doing. Now, are people going to go out of their way to watch IU basketball tomorrow? That's real up in the air. There ain't no question about that. That is absolutely up in the air about whether IU fans will make it a point to turn on the IU game tomorrow just to watch them play. Why? Because they do you enjoy it? Are you enjoying what you're seeing? Obviously not. And you go into a game like this and you have expectations. You're hoping that okay, we could start to see something that can give us hope for the future. And hope is a big comes to this kind of stuff. And I just don't know that there's a lot of people that are going to be real excited to see what exactly the Hoosiers are going to be able to bring to the floor. Or there's that morbid curiosity that goes along with it of what are you going to do? Are you going to be able to see the Hoosiers bounce back? So there is that as well. I did want to note that you don't have to worry about a call-in show tomorrow. Kyle says I'm still not missing a game. It's too late for me, and I understand that completely. Look, I'm a Bears fan. I watch the Bears every single week, and it is an absolutely miserable experience. So I get it. I understand it. And people still will. Again, there is that fascination. Are they going to be able to bounce back? Is this something Mike Woodson is going to be able to get them to do? Uh, and it's a good question because people want. That's the other thing. People want this program to do well, to get back to a level where it is nationally relevant at a very, very high level. And you could watch other teams play and the difference between high level basketball for the real top teams, the elite teams in the nation, versus what Indiana is trotting out there is substantially different. Let's just say that. It is substantially different. And for the number 14 team in the nation to just get boat raced uh, in this one by a Louisville team that is still finding its way, which hey, it's the heat's only going to get hotter, if that's the right way to put it. That seat is going to continue to get toasty and toasty and toasty because this also is a IU team that just was so bad defensively. It's not enough that you go ahead and you commit 23 turnovers. Louisville was sloppy as hell. They had 15 turnovers on their own. Didn't have the size that Indiana does, but they still get within five shots of out rebounding them. Indiana, consider folks, Indiana loses by 28 points, out rebounded themselves on the offensive glass. They had 22 offensive rebounds, 18 defensive rebounds. In other words, Indiana had 20 offensive rebounds that they turned into 23 second chance points. That ain't good enough. That ain't good enough even a little bit. The Hoosiers got hammered and they rolled over. They turned the ball over on 30% of their possessions. 30%. You need better guard play. You need more leadership. You need a better attack, a better system. You need to play with some kind of care. The Hoosiers didn't do that. Guy with the screen name of Bernie says odds we forfeit tomorrow. Well, that's zero. It's zero. Well, Hoosier fans just want so badly for this program to do well. They pour their heart and soul into it. And to see Indiana come out and turn in that kind of performance, um, it's rough. It is absolutely rough, to say the least. Um, and this isn't even a team that ran into foul trouble. Here, nobody had more than 3 fouls. Luke Goody was one of the two guys with 3 fouls. Inexplicably gets a tech later in the game. It's like, why? Why are you getting? And what have you done today? Malik Renew played 33 minutes, didn't commit a foul, so that's, I guess, a positive. That's something you could build off of. So you got that going for you, which is nice. But otherwise, I tell you, it's going to lead to apathy from a fan base real quick because it ain't December yet, and people are more than a little frustrated with what the Hoosiers have going on. That is the frustration of this. Um, let's see. Corey says it's November and we're all looking forward to next year. So sad. No argument here because we want better than that. Bernie's asking, regardless of whom they play tomorrow, what will be the spread? I promise you, they won't be favored. Probably. I mean, I don't know how to make spreads. That is not my strong suit. Also, I'm a terrible gambler, so I avoid all of that. But this is uh, where people tune out real quick, especially when you have football doing as well as it is. You have that distraction, and once football is done, or once we get done with the Old Oaken Bucket, there's a lot of casual fans that will turn towards basketball at this point and really pour their heart and soul up into it, and could run into a problem with that. I mean, look, this is it's just so unbelievably frustrating. This team. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to get to the Mike Woodson press conference. I really want to hear it. I want to be able to bring it to you. I could see it in our system, and it is pending in terms of going up. I haven't had a chance to download it just yet. And once I download it, because I'm dying to hear what he had to say. I am absolutely dying to hear what he had to say. Um, you have a guy saying on Twitter after about an hour ago, I said just really no defense, no discipline, no offensive plan, no changes, no poise. Other than that, the Hoosiers are just fine. And he says, what year was that from? And that's kind of that's that frustration. That is that frustration. Because people are dying for this team to go well. Oh, we are going to get to hear from Mike Woodson and Malik Renew. So stick around for just a couple more seconds, folks. It's coming in. I promise you, I'm so excited because I thought that it wasn't, but we all get to hear this at the same time because I didn't get to hear. We've been on the air. I really appreciate everybody sticking around with this. So without any further ado, I don't know how good the audio is. We're going to find out together. But here is Mike Woodson and Malik Renew during their post-game press conference.
When the margin is that big when you're playing an unranked team.
Well, again, it was beyond schemes. I mean, I thought they came out at the very beginning and they punched us, and we didn't respond. And it didn't get better throughout the ball game. And as a coach, I got to get this team more ready to go. And I'm talking about from beginning to end. And, you know, when I look at the stat sheet offensively, we had nothing from a perimeter standpoint, and they had a lot to do with that because of their physicality. And we can't complain and not play through it. You know, we just got to get a little tougher. And, you know, you go 9 for 43 with your perimeter play, it's going to be tough to beat anybody in college basketball.
Zach, then Mike.
I guess, Mike, I recognize it's probably easier from a perspective when you've watched the film, but that 9-minute stretch where it goes from a 6-point deficit to a 26-point deficit, from a coach's perspective, do you have any feel for just kind of what opens the floodgates on you guys there in terms of maybe the way you're playing or what you're not executing?
Well, again, defensively, you know, it's kind of always been our signature, and we just didn't have it tonight. I mean, from ball screens to ball movement, we just took nothing away, and we've been pretty good in those areas. And tonight we had nothing for Louisville, so I got to give them credit because they played extremely well. And we got to somehow go back and regroup. I mean, that's the nature of playing college basketball. You get your butt beat like this here. You hope you learn, but don't have a quick turnaround. I mean, you do have a quick turnaround. I mean, we play the winner between Gonzaga and West Virginia tomorrow, and we got to see what we made of, see if we can rebound and bounce back.
Mike and then Kyle.
Yeah, Coach. Rice, Carlisle, and Galloway combined for 3 points. How did that happen?
Again, it's just not those two. I just mentioned we went 9 for 43 with our perimeter play, and that's tough to overcome. I mean, you're not going to beat anybody that way, and then you compound it with 23 turnovers. There's probably more turnovers than we've had since I've been here as a coach, and that's tough. I mean, you're not going to be very many teams turning it over 23 times in the perimeter play and going 9 for 43. So those are things that are fixable. We got to just clean them up and see if we can rebound tomorrow.
Kyle and then Jack.
Coach, how do you tell your team to kind of put this game behind you and move on to the next one like this?
Well, it's tough. These are young men, and I get it, but the games are not going anywhere. I mean, we got a game tomorrow night, and we got to go back and put them through this film session and see if we can learn from it, and see if I can get them over the hump and get them back going again for tomorrow night. Because these games come so quickly, and you can't run from it. So I'm not going to let us forget this game. I mean, because this was embarrassing, and you got to give Louisville credit because they played their butts off, but we didn't play Indiana basketball. I didn't think.
Jack and then Trevor.
Yeah, Mike, the 23 turnovers, how much do you credit that to, like, unfamiliarity with each other? And is the team, like, not as far along in that respect as you're going to be at this point?
Well, again, I mean, I'm not using that as an excuse. I mean, we've had a few games that, we've had some good basketball play and some bad basketball play, but at the end of the day, you still got to take care of the basketball if you're going to score the ball. 23 times we didn't get opportunities to do that because we hand delivered it to our opponents. So we just got to come back and get better in that area and get our guys making shots and feeling good. But we got to do better defensively, and we just got out tough, and that's unacceptable to me.
Trevor.
Hey, Malik. It seemed like Louisville really delivered a punch early. What did you guys kind of feel like coming into the game, and what did you think of your competitiveness as a team, especially early and then early in that second half?
I think we had great intentions. We had a great side going into the game. I think we just didn't execute the game plan that Coach Wilson had, especially on the defensive end. We guarded certain people, knowing what we're doing. I had a couple mistakes myself. So it was just like not a lack of focus towards the style we had, and just not giving all we was on the court.
Okay, we've got a couple questions from Zoom, so we'll go Zion Brown and then Daniel Flick.
I can't hear you. Can you turn your volume up?
How do you turn that around?
I didn't hear your question. Your volume was down.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
With what Malik was just talking about, with the lack of attention and the lack of focus that he felt you guys had during the game, when you sense that amongst your team in the middle of a game, how do you try to turn that around and flip that?
Well, it's not easy. You know, I mean, we could just never get it going. I thought, you know, we made a couple buckets starting the second half, and they just countered right back, and then it just got out of hand. We couldn't make shots. We turned the ball over, and it just led to easy buckets for them. And once they got the cushion, they felt good about their play. So, you know, it's just something that we're gonna have to learn from, because we can't go back and get this game. And like I said, tomorrow we jump it up again tomorrow, so I got to get this ball club ready to play tomorrow night.
Daniel and Zach Browning.
Yeah, Mike, after last game, I wanted to say you mentioned how frustrated you were with the lack of assists that you guys had. You only have 10 tonight. How frustrating is it to kind of see something that you emphasize and not translate?
Well, it's tough because, again, you only have 10 assists because you turned it over 23 times. Those are opportunities you give yourself a chance to score, and we just didn't do that. And you know, that's just, you know, we've been averaging around, I think, 11, 12 turnovers a game since we've started, and it's kind of where you like to be, a little less than that. But 23 is just way too many. I mean, you're not going to beat very many teams in college basketball doing that.
Okay, Zach Browning.
Coach, you were frustrated after the win over Eastern Illinois. Kind of what was the message to the team after that, and what kind of led to them, I guess, not being ready for this game today?
Well, again, you know, we had some tough practices after that, and again, you know, practices are what they are. You know, we work our asses off in practice, and I push guys to do the right thing, and you hope when you get to the ball game, everything just kind of flows. And tonight we went backwards, and I got to get us going forward.
Last question, Zach.
I guess, Malik, just to kind of follow up on something you talked about earlier, just in a game like this, how difficult as a team is it not to maybe start pressing, start trying to you know, sort of do too much too quickly when you feel like the game's getting away from you?
Sorry, can you say that one more time?
Just how difficult is it maybe to not, as individual players, start pressing, try and force things, try and make things happen when you feel like the game's getting away from you?
Yeah, I mean, that only makes the game worse for us. I mean, people trying to do it by themselves, it just only causes more turnovers. I mean, you may get a couple buckets here and there, but I mean, our focus as a group is just trying to play together from here on out and keep going from there.
All right, so there is Malik Renew and Mike Woodson in the post-game press conference. Not a lot of answers. It sounded, you know, where Mike Woodson just says, you know, the usual stuff. We got to get over the hump. I got to get him over the hump. I got to do this. I got to do that. Do it. It's that simple. Do it. If you're going to get him over the hump, enough talk about it. Do it. Because it is beyond time. Right now, as we're finishing up here, it's halftime of Gonzaga and West Virginia. Gonzaga's up 39-31. Gonzaga, the number 3 team in the nation. If they win, the Hoosiers will take on the Bulldogs. That'll be a challenge. Both of these games are going to be a challenge. He says, we got to see if we could bounce back. You're going to have to bounce back in a very, very big way because what we saw today is the kind of thing that will derail a season very, very quickly. It's frustrating. It is a game in which a lot of people were let down. Malik Renew played a decent game, but it has to be more than that one guy. It has to be more than that one guy. And the key is, once again, you have shown everybody this is how you can beat Indiana. Get in their faces, play with a lot of energy, create some turnovers, and they'll struggle. So not a lot of turnaround time. Going to be real interesting, to say the least. There will be no call-in show after tomorrow's game or Friday's game, for that matter. There will be Saturday after the Bucket game. Hope you'll stay up late to talk about what will hopefully be an Indiana win. But the Hoosiers in this one, we've talked a lot of basketball, a lot of football. Really appreciate the calls that I got, all the activity on the chat. Please keep it up because I'm here to be your therapist, and I'm here to help you vent as best you can. I want a conversation with you guys. 89-61 is the final, and now the Hoosiers suffer their first loss of the season, and we'll see if they're able to bounce back come Thanksgiving. So that's all the time we have on the Peegs Podcast Live. I want to thank you for listening, and I want to remind you to visit Peegs.com for the very best NIU football and basketball coverage you're going to find anywhere. Nobody covers Hoosier recruiting better than Jeff Rabjohns, Matt Weaver, Trevor Andershock, and Jared Kelly. So come be a part of a thriving and exciting community at Peegs.com. Folks, you are not going to be disappointed. Folks, we're out of time. But for now, and for Jeff, Matt, Trevor, and Jared, I'm Ken Bykoff saying thanks for listening, everybody, and happy Thanksgiving.